confidentiality, we will only take a project, right? So I took this project, okay? I go to Mathematica, right? And I create a new file. This is how I'm going to do new file. And how to open the Mathematica? You go there, right? You keep browsing all apps, right? You'll find in W. You go in W, you'll find it in W. Okay, you'll find it in W called Wolfram Mathematica. So this is the case. So you have this. So you just click on this, it's going to start. Okay. So we already had started, but it's going to start. As soon as it starts, you go in the main file menu and then create new file. It's going to create the notebook. Basically, you create a notebook. So this is the third notebook I created. And this is the notebook which is used to come. Okay? Does that make sense for now? Now what we're going to do, we'll look into this project. And I told you that in general, if you like to write a comment, you just put star star. So this is one of the ways. And I'm recording the session, so you should be able to see it. And I say project sample. And in this case, I change the number to so I randomly change the number. Okay, I change the numbers. Just it should not affect, should not have any student and not benefit anyone or harm anyone. Because this is a project if I solve, you know the solution, right? So I just took it up from this and then these are the questions which I have, right, to answer. These are the questions which I have to be answered. And again I put this, and these are the comments which I have, right? Okay? So this is the way of writing things. I just brought things like I'm complicated, right? But the only thing I have to do, I have to do star. So this will take a form, you have a textbook, right? You have a textbook, and many times you. Now I say that it says the 3D plot for the demand-price relationship. So this is what is the relationship, right? So this is the price-demand relationship, right? So what I'm going to do, I'll say that the first part, static, and say that develop the revenue function. So first thing is that develop the revenue function. How do you develop revenue function? What is a revenue function? So you can write anything for revenue. You can write it here, profit. I told you that profit and revenue often recorded as one thing, right? And what is the revenue in this case? Price times quantity, right? So what we're going to do, we'll write it in here and say to you that this is the price. And do I know the price? How much is that? Do I know the price? How much is that? You see that? So what is the way of writing this that you can recognize by saying that the price is equals to, and this is what you call dynamic allocation, meaning that it will record. I just wanted to explain this dynamic allocation for you. 470 minus 4.5 Q times Q minus what? Cost, right? So how is the cost? Can I know what is the cost? The cost is this much, right? The cost is this much, and see what is that cost. So if I know that this is the cost, so this is the cost function. So actually it's the cost. So I'm going to do what? I just put this cost as 0.07 Q, and this is how you write it here. I wanted to tell you something which is very important. What is that important for you is that you should use palettes, as I told you earlier, right? So in this case, if you want to write a command, I can write power in here and say that this is the way to write power. See, superscript. If I click on this, it's going to create me a superscript. But what I can do, I can go here and write it here, Q, and say the superscript of the q is how much? The power of q is how much? 2, right? And then plus 21q plus 7,000. So this is my profit, right? And yes, a very nice comment she made it here, that you should have minus, and hence this minus should contain everything. This is cost, right? Minus the cost. So this is your what? Revenue function, right? And then I can see if that works for me. And one thing which I like to tell you, that in here you can clear things from memory, which is important. You should clear things from memory. Why? Because sometimes these numbers are already there in the memory. So I say that clear key and clear profit as well. So they basically clear what? Now, if I go to the end and I say evaluate, it makes things blue. See that? Why it's blue? Because now they are deleted from the system. So there is no memory about who is P, who is Q. Now if I evaluate the cell, I see that this is my profit. Okay? This is my profit function. Now how do I do the 2D plot? If I want to do the 2D plot, I'm going to say here, and the second part, develop the 2D plot. So how I'm going to do it? See, look at this plus sign. You see that? Huh? And if I wanted to do something more, I can make it bigger so that you can see it. I can make it 150%, right? So now I can see better. And for the time being, you can also close the palettes, because palettes are something which you don't need very often, but you can always close them. So I close this, right? And if I want, I can reinitiate them. How? I just go palettes and say basic math assistant, and it will become. See that? If I want to close it, I just go there and close this. So whenever I need, I can open the tool, and whenever I don't need, I can close it. Now, how do I do the plot? See, I go there, I see the plus sign, click on here, right? And I say the format free, free format input. And I say plot, what do I plot? This is the price demand relationship, right? If I want to know what is my price demand relationship, the price demand relationship is this, right? 470 minus 4.52. So I just plug this here and put it here. Yes? See, this is the plot that you can see. This is the plot right in here. Okay? So this is the plot that we have, right? And then, what is the cost that we have in our model? This is the total cost, right? It says cost function. It didn't say average cost, right? It says cost function. So this is my cost, right? So what do? I just write some comments for myself. I say that total cost, right? And the average cost is how much in that case, if you want to know? Total cost divided by who? You know, total cost meaning what? For example, I'll just give you a very simple thing. Suppose you bought the meat. Okay, the meat cost you 40 reals per kilo. So if somebody asks you what is the average cost of the meat, you'll say 40 reals per kilo. But suppose you bought 10 kilo, how much you will pay total cost? 10 times 40, right? 400 riyals. So this is what it means by total cost and average cost. Average cost stands for cost per item. So in this case, the total cost divided by this. This is the answer, right? So how I'm going to solve this? I go there and say format free and say plot. What do I plot? I just plot this, right? Do I plot this or something else? I plot this, divide by who? And this, don't do this mistake because the division is for whole bracket, right? Okay? And then see what you get as an outcome. Okay, this is what you got as an outcome. Now some people they do things from here to here, right? Which is of course good, but you know that sometimes it is not useful for you to go for negative, right? Because you never produce negative quantity, right? So what you can do, and this is not mandatory, but you can do it. You can do from here to there, right? And you have this. Okay. So this is what we are discussing. Because see, one thing which I like to notify to you, when you say happy, now what about the 2D plot? Now 3D plot, can we do the 3D plot? Can we do the 3D plot? So what is the next step for us? We go for 3D plot. So what is the comment in here? So how to do the 3D plot? First of all, how to do the 3D plot? You don't have to do anything, but actually first of all try to know who's your revenue function. Who is my revenue function? If I recall, this is my profit function, remember? Huh? You see that? So this is my revenue function, right? So I say that revenue function is equals to how much? This thing, right? I just copied it. But can it be 2D plot or 3D plot? Can you tell me whether it is 2D plot? Right? This is what you're going to say. Only. I'm not going to say anything. That's it. And if I go to the end and say evaluate cell, you will see it's a 2D. See, got it? Otherwise you can never get the 2D plot because 3D plot. Why? Because not two inputs, right? There is only one input. So you have to know that this input, which is actually P, you convert it into Q, right? So you don't convert it. And you bring this back to original form. So this is what you're going to do. So this is what my revenue, this is quantity and this is price, right? Okay? Make sense? And you can do a lot of things in here. You can just do sort of things. If you want to recall this, first of all, this is written as eta. Okay? Eta. And then you write it here. I give you the example that you can write with the palettes. So you can write with the fraction here. But what fraction you like to write? See, do you recall that this is P upon demand, right? Okay. And you can write the demand as demand. And then what? Can you tell me the formula? Can you tell me the formula? Actually, the formula would be this. Negative, right? It will be P derivative of Q with respect to P, right? And then you write with the fraction. So in this case it will be Q. And you can match the formula. It's what radically in the and try to change this one. So how do I compute this if I want to use this? First of all, I also write it here as a comment for us. So this is my comment. Now for eta, which I want to compute, how much it will be? Price, I don't know, right? Right? And then negative sign. What about the demand? This is not the demand, it's a derivative. See, this is the derivative sign. Derivative of demand with respect to price, right? What is my price demand relationship which I wanted to know? The price demand relationship which I had was this thing, right? 70 minus this, right? Now one thing I like to come back and see, this is what you have to think little bit. Is this clear? How did I get the relationship? Right, so in this case, what is the relationship which I have? I have 470 minus P divided by who? Divided by 4.5 and take the derivative with respect to P, right? And then what? Divide by who? Q. What is my Q? What is my Q? The Q is this. What is my Q? The Q which I got is this, right? So in this case, I'm going to write it here as 470 minus P okay? So this is how you will create this. I just create it. Is this clear to you what I did? Basically it was the price demand relationship. So you need to find the demand first. And demand is what? Q. You need to find the Q. And then use the formula to get it. So if you're going to do evaluate, see this is what you got, right? What you got? 1 times P, 470 minus P. So it is in terms of T, right? Now what is the question says to you? Find at what? Unit P. 1 unit price, right? Meaning what? Whenever you get it, you replace it by who? By 1. So in this case my answer would be that, for example here, I'm going to do what? Eta is equals to what? 1 times 1 times P. How much is my P? 1, right? Divided by who? 470 minus P, which is how much? 1, and this is the answer. So it is 1 upon 469. Okay? 1 upon 469. Is this clear? Now what about the next part? That's it. And then you go to the end and say evaluate cells. Taking some time. Why? Because it takes you to find out the derivative. Now you can notice that the derivative is fine, right? Because you did 2q, right? 2 times 0.04, 0.07 is how much? 0.14. That's correct, right? And that derivative of 21q is how much? 21, right? And derivative of the constant with respect to how much? But is this complete? It's asking to compute where? At q is equals to 1, right? So wherever you see q, you replace by who? 1. That's it. Right? See, so far the only difficult part I see is the elasticity. That's it. Nothing else, right? You can see just easy thing. No difficulty. I see the plus sign. I go here, right? And say format free, right? and then I say maximize, because what I like to do, maximize, right? What do I like to maximize? Revenue, right? What is my revenue? Do I know how much is my revenue? See, in this case, do I know what is my revenue? My revenue is how much? This is the first thing that we built, right? All in the terms of quantity. So this is my function I like to maximize. And that's it. Did I do anything? I just say maximize, just single word. Right? And then I go here and I go to the end of the statement. Your cursor should be at end and say value itself. See, this is maximize. So what is saying? What is the maximum revenue? 4,182. What is the demand, or what is the quantity to sell? 49. Now, when you know 49, can you find the price? Can I find the price? Yes or no? Yes or no? How to find price? What I'm going to do, I have the relationship. What is the relationship I have? Price demand relationship. If I go to the top, I find the price demand relationship. How much is that? Right? This is in the question, right? So I go there and use this now to find the price, actually to find the best price. So this is the case, the best price. So in this case, how much is the quantity? I just replace it by who? 49,8,114. And that's it. This is what you're going to get. So you got the revenue, you got the price, quantity, and you get the price. That's it. I hope I answered the question right. See, that says what is the revenue, what is the maximum, optimal, the best price, and at this revenue. So I got the answer to everything. Okay? So I